Welcome back to another episode of the All Tens podcast. I'm your co-host Josh West here today with Clay Harris, and we're continuing the series about leadership abilities. And today we want to dive into one that's near and dear to us. Lots of energy around this one. Clay, it's the ability to be a better predictor. So
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes.
I knew you were going to say it.
Yeah, see, you were predicting what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Talk to our listeners today about how you have worked with some of your clients on being better predictors.
Yeah. So prediction, when we work through the 5 leadership abilities, we've done simplify, we've done delegate, and then we halfway home, we're at predict, right? And when we talk about prediction, we're talking about 2 types of prediction, right? We kind of split it up, short-term predicting and long-term predicting. You got to be good at both. And I think that when I'm sitting in the room going over this with leadership teams, I'm not sure this is one that they spend a lot of time thinking about, to be honest, right? Like, I think everybody kind of has an idea of like maybe they're going to come up with a budget for the year, or maybe they have some BHAG, right? That's like way far in the distance that feels unreachable. And when we talk about prediction in the room, what I'm trying to do is connect the dots between where we're going and what we're doing tomorrow, right? So that we make it more and more likely that we're gonna dig the tunnel and come out at the right place, right? And so whether that's short term or long term, the question that comes up for me though, just in the room sometimes is like, well, we'd rather just read and react. Right, like we'd prefer like it ain't broken. And I'm like, well, I'm here for a reason. It's something that isn't working, right? And so the ability to predict is as much for the rest of the company as it is for you. I think as entrepreneurs, we're pretty good with like rolling with the punches that come in. If you start a business, whether like if something doesn't go right tomorrow, I got it. I'm omnipotent and all powerful when it comes to solving problems because I'm the boss. There's only one boss normally. And so when we talk about predicting and prioritizing the work that we're doing short-term and long-term, we're giving everybody else the map that is kind of hidden in the back of our brain. We're kind of helping them make decisions about what's important and what's not important. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So just to like kind of move into the details, short-term predicting, we talk about like how when we're in a L10 in a level 10 weekly meeting with a leadership team, one of the manifestations of short-term predicting is prioritizing your issues list. What are the 3 most important things that we need to talk about today? What are the 3 most important things that are going to get us closer to our long-term goals? And that is a prediction muscle. Also in the L10 meeting, when you're solving issues and identifying the next thing that you do to get those issues solved once and forever in the right way, you're using that prediction muscle of like, I believe this is the right thing to do. Long-term predicting, on the other hand, we talk about it as anything 90 days or out. It's where we kind of climb the tree, look back at where we've been, see how well we did predicting our numbers and our rocks for the previous quarter, make sure we're still headed to the same 1, 3, 10-year targets, right? And set new rocks and predict our big work over the next quarter. And that just kind of happens. That's actually what we teach. The outcome of all of our teaching is kind of getting better at predicting. But other than talking about it as one of the 5 leadership abilities, this is the one where like we need the most practice, and we actually do a bunch of work in the session room together to solve issues, to create to-dos, to create rocks, to update the VTO and the 1-year plan and the 3-year picture and the 10-year target. And that's the work that we do in the room. And I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm working with clients, and first when you just introduce that leadership ability and just the word alone, I can hear the smart Alex out there. Well, Josh, if I could predict the future, like I would have won the lottery last week, right? And so first, we've just even got to redefine what that means in the context of working with inside the organization. And for me, I define it as we're not going to know 100% what's about to happen in the future, but what we are trying to do is take some action to minimize being surprised in the future, particularly some of those negative surprises. And so, you mentioned rocks. And so, a lot of times when we're trying to determine what those priorities are and people start to write those rocks or those goals, if they begin to struggle with it because they are where they are in the present and they're writing it forward from there, I take them all the way to the future and say, on that future date, what do you want to be true? Now let's state that as fact. And then that makes us a better predictor that we're going to get there and that will be true in the future. But it's almost as if you have to take yourself there. Same thing with the scorecard, right? So we're talking about what are we going to look at that makes us a better predictor about what's about to happen inside of the business on a weekly basis. So one of the things that always comes up there is, well, I'd like to look at revenue. And my question in return is, well, okay, is revenue a lagging indicator? Yeah. And so is that going to come out in a monthly or a quarterly report later? Sure. Right. So how long is the sales cycle? Oh, well, I don't know. It's 8 weeks, it's 12 weeks, it's whatever. Okay, so fine. Again, we take ourselves in the future. I want this much revenue 3 months from now. So as we work backwards, how many leads did I need this week in order to make me a better predictor that I'm going to have that revenue that I want 8 weeks from now, 12 weeks from now? And so what we're looking at and what it tells us about the future is helping us be a better predictor, but you've got to put in that work ahead of time and really run that to ground. And so it's usually about putting yourself in that future state, working backwards, and then being able to give yourself information in the present that gives you a much better prediction and understanding of what is going to be true in the future.
Isn't that the thing? As you were saying that, it kind of struck me that I have a handful of clients who run wonderful businesses, but I think they would tell you they're not sure why. Like it just kind of works, right? And like when we're strengthening this muscle, this prediction muscle as a leadership team, what we're urging them to do is to uncover the things that are making it work well, understand, use them to make really much better decisions so that the greatness that they have now can be greatness times 5 or greatness times 10, if that's what they want. Most of them do, right? Like that prediction muscle, really, you have to get like really into the underpinnings of the business to understand really what makes it work so that you can accomplish those big goals. And the clients that I've worked with who can get there really start to understand where the big levers are in the business, right? Not just like not they're not just fiddling with the knobs that may or may not do anything kind of on the outside. They're like really under turning the big wrenches, Anyway, it's good insight.
What nuggets do you have for our listeners around prediction?
Yeah, I mean, I think nugget, I've already said it, but the thing that I urge my teams to get really good at every week is making sure that they're prioritizing the right issues, using prioritization as a correlate to prediction. Like if you can get really good at identifying which issues are going to drive the biggest impact in the organization on a week to week basis, you're doing the reps, you're building the muscle. Keep doing that, and we'll work on the bigger muscles every 90 days when we get in the session room together. Does that make sense? What about you?
For me, and if a team is struggling with this, I say, well, let's think about a time in the recent past where either you got a negative surprise or you found yourself being very reactive in a situation. And think back to that. And if you did get a bad surprise or you found yourself being reactive, what could you have done or how could you set yourself up to have been more proactive in that situation? And when you answer that question, that will begin to reveal to you how you can take action to be a better predictor in the future and minimize those surprises.
Just as like an extra bonus nugget, can you give an example without revealing anyone's identity? Because I think that's a great one. I would love to hear an example.
There was one, and I'll go outside of the data realm here. And
Okay.
this is simply about having enough staff members to be able to do the work that's coming in. And they constantly found themselves being reactive. And
Mm,
ultimately, when we dug in, it's because they didn't have a source and a channel and a proven process where they could reliably go out and get the talent that they needed. And so they're constantly in this mode of reacting. And so as we work through understanding what the core values are and also how people can be the right people in the right seat, and then being able to have a process whereby they're learning that up front during the hiring process, and now they're able to have the people that they need and they're not always scrambling for it. So in that case, it's about being a better predictor in terms of whether or not someone's going to be a long-term fit at the organization.
yeah. Perfect. Love it. Preach. I
Fantastic.
can't wait till we get to our Right People, Right Seat episodes, Josh. We haven't even planned that one, but I bet it'll be coming.
Oh, so much to talk about because we could do probably 57 different episodes on people issues because they come from all different directions, but we'll get to them in time.
That's the truth. You want to wrap us up?
Thanks again for joining the All Tens podcast, and wherever you're listening to us, please rate the episode. We're striving for all tens. If you'd like for us to talk about any other topics or there's challenges you're facing inside of your business, please let us know in the comments. We work with entrepreneurs every day, and when we're not working with them, we're talking about it and trying to get better. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time, Clyde.
Bye, Joshy.